Good afternoon. I just came back from a meeting. This is just a small update. I just came back from a meeting with a couple of pastors, and I told them what my intentions were on the West Side and how we all can come together and make the community better. We got into a very interesting conversation, but before I share that, I want to address a part of my previous video that someone emailed me. He or she wanted to know what did I mean when I said that I don't know anyone more messed up than myself, because I deal with myself every day. That means that I don't spend a whole lot of my time looking at other people. We don't have that kind of time to be looking at other people and talking about how bad they are. We have to deal with ourselves mostly, if not all day. We have to check ourselves each and every day, because every day that we live in this real chaotic society. And sometimes we pick up things. We pick up things that are not beneficial for humanity. And so I deal with myself every day. So the reason why I say I don't know anyone more messed up than me is because I'm always looking at myself. So I don't have time to be looking at anyone else, because it means I'm not paying proper attention to myself. And I think this is something that we all should do. This is one of the reasons why this I would say campaign, or this interest in making the community better. But that's all I meant. So it's no big deal. It's something that we all need to do, even in the way that we respond to things, and even in the way that we understand things. You have people out here who are feeling attacked and convicted, and then the next thing you know, they're going through their little book accusing you of not understanding things, and you're a fool and all of that. But fools just sit down and they just have their little group of people, and they remain fools, but they don't go out and they do the work. And I'm not one to keep going back and forth with someone. See, because while we're going back and forth with one another, then the people continue to suffer. But I want to get into a very interesting conversation that all of us had in terms of the West Side, and in terms of where I grew up in Chicago. I come up in a community called Chatham Village, and it was a higher middle class community. And it was a community where the people didn't just have common jobs. Everyone who resided there had careers. And I come up in a very diverse neighborhood. There were Blacks, there were Italians, there were Puerto Ricans, there were pretty much everybody was mixed up, like myself and my friend John Villa. Pretty much everybody in the neighborhood was considered mixed, you might as well say. We had Indians living there, we had Puerto Ricans, we had Italians, we had Blacks, we had whites, we had Irish. The neighborhood was very diverse. But the conversation that we had was based upon a phone call that I had from this Puerto Rican young lady that I used to grow up with. And so I had called her one day. Her name was Patricia Boyd. And so this was years ago, but I told her, she had asked me, when are you gonna come back home to visit? And I told her that I'm thinking about coming there like sometime next year. And then I went to explain to her, I said, I've been far away from home for so long, because last time that I was in Chicago was in 1985. And so her and I was sitting on the phone talking about how beautiful our childhood was. And so I was telling her that I've been through so much out here in Las Vegas that I need to come home for a while so I can get back in touch with the spirit and the aura and the feeling and everything that I grew up with that made me the person that I was. And so I told her that I miss Chicago. I miss going downtown. I miss walking around the neighborhood and everything. She had told me that, you know, I totally understand what you're saying. And she told me that well, you know that I haven't moved out of the neighborhood since you left. She said, but David, a lot of things have changed. A lot of things have changed. You know, she said most of the elders have passed away, and things have changed because the way the elders raised up a whole lot of people during the course of them becoming adults, a whole lot of them failed. And not too long ago, I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and I was explaining to him that I saw a moral shift happening right around the year 1975, when the disco era came out and the drugs came out, and our parents spent more time partying all night. And a whole lot of our grandmothers and great-grandmothers were the ones who started raising us while the parents compromised. And so when that happens, when the elders start to pass away, you're left with these parents who have been corrupted. And therefore, the intelligence level and the state of morality goes down. And then when you are in that type of environment, you have to really be able to think for oneself in order not to become a part of the moral decline that is poisoning the environment. And so with talking about that, we went into, that's exactly what happened over there on the West Side. And I had an elder that I was listening to very attentively. I think he was almost 90 years old. And he was telling me that he has seen a moral decline in the West Side for a long time. And he said that pretty much the same thing I said in my other video, of how the pastors started not to go into the community. He was telling me that there was a time when the pastors used to go to people's homes and sit and help the people resolve the differences that were causing their family to live in chaos. And after a time, when those particular pastors passed away, he saw the community further decline, not only with the elders passing away, but the pastors also not doing the work anymore, because some of them got frustrated, some of them got sick, and they just couldn't do it anymore, and some of them passed away. And so you have this new group of pastors who are coming in. The community, I believe he told me this started right around 78 going into the 80s, and it's been going downhill ever since. These new pastors who were students of the elderly pastors who ended up passing away, they at some time compromised. Like a whole lot of things that I saw when a lot of prostitutes would try to come, well, ex-prostitutes would try to come into church to totally change their lives around. And by a whole lot of um, ministers and deacons, knowing what these women used to do, they would try to entice them to keep that same type of activity going by taking these women to their offices, and they'd be in there sleeping with these women, and it's crazy. And even the brothers who used to be big time hustlers and drug dealers would try to turn their lives around by coming into the church community. And when it was time to collect the money, they would use these guys who used to be hustlers and drug dealers to get up there and try to use that same type of what is called today swag, or articulate language, in order to persuade the people to give as much to the church as possible. So instead of helping these people die of what was taking them into the abyss, they would entice what they used to do in order to keep them enslaved by way of prostitution. And the slick talking guys, they would always use them, to like I say, ask for money. I just not too long woke up, but in talking about that, we had agreed that the way that it was has to manifest again. It has to manifest again, because what had the community in order has not passed on in terms of the passing on of these people. It's just that we have to get back to our roots in terms of morality and our efforts to live in peace and without fear. Because see, fear is the primary factor of what's going on right now with a whole lot of pastors and a whole lot of people who are not pastors, but who want to do something to better the community so that their children, so that they, and so that everyone can live civil in the community. So it's a lot of people who want to get back there and reconnect with what used to work, but what's ruling a whole lot of people today is fear. It's a lot of people afraid of the West Side, but you have to be of good courage. You have to have good intentions, and you have to go into darkness as a beacon of light with love, and this is realistically, and you have to communicate with the people, and that's all it is. But this background represents our dual sense, and so I use this background to help everyone to understand that we have to deal with ourselves if we want anything better, whether it's on the West Side or in your churches or anywhere. We have to get back to humanity, because the only thing that we're dealing with right now is a bunch of inhumane things that are going. And I'm not going to be going back and forth, regardless of what I say on these videos. Don't think that I'm going to be going back and forth with you about you need to talk to me and you're a fool, and I don't have time for that. I don't have time. Like I was telling another brother, man, I don't have time to be sitting at someone's table being concerned about the Jewish calendar. We don't have time to be talking about who's the real Jews or the fake Jews, or if we're Hebrews or not Hebrews, because that's just information that causes divisiveness. And in between those divisive language is a bunch of conflict and hate. I don't have time for it anymore. I don't have time for it. I used to give it my attention. I used to. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I used to give it my attention, but not anymore. Because when we're caught up battling one another with some information that is not completely accurate anyway, of course you're going to end up having point of views when you don't have facts. Because if we're always going at each other, accusing each other of being fools or being evil and all of that, because David don't care. David does not care what you call him. The only thing that I'm concerned about is the work. That's it. Get rid of the titles. Just do the work. Just do the work. That's all I want. I just want the community to get back to being civil, to where our youth can walk the streets without getting killed by stray bullets and all of those things. I want our young ladies to have childhoods. I want them to grow up without being in danger of being molested. And I want our young men to come up in a safe environment. And the reason why I desire that so much is because that's the type of environment that I was raised up in, because the elders created a beautiful and productive and safe environment for us. Now, there's no knowledge of me knowing if everyone was a quote unquote Christian, because we had Christians, we had Catholics, we had Muslims, we had all different types of religions in our community. I mean, we even had some atheists, you know, people who didn't believe in following religion. And what needs to be known when it comes to the atheists, it doesn't mean that they don't believe in the Creator. They just don't follow any religious doctrines. That's what an atheist is. It's not someone who doesn't believe in the Creator. It's someone who doesn't follow religious doctrine. Simple as that. You know? And I would dare to say that Yeshua, he wasn't religious, he was spiritual. Now, am I saying that he was an atheist? He was spiritual. He said, you must worship God in spirit and in truth. He was a spiritual man. And that's what I'm going to say. He was spiritual. And that's what I'm struggling to be. And yes, it is a struggle, just like this background implies. It is a struggle. This is why I said I don't know anyone more messed up than myself, because each and every day I'm honest enough to go inside and see where I need to improve. And so it's a form of death. There's a whole lot of things that we need to die to in order for all of us to get ourselves together and make this world a better place to live. And so I'm gonna cut it short right here because I have to start getting myself ready for work. But this is going to be most likely the last video for a little while until I come up with some more news on the progress of getting the community involved and making things better for ourselves, you know. So, all right, everybody have a good day and stay human.
That day, what day? Judgment cannot come unless there is a falling away first. And the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition.
Go ahead, dear minister.
Now, all the reverends, all the imams, all the high mucks.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, dear minister.
God didn't call you to do this.
Come on, think about this.
can have a church on every corner, but don't fight Satan. Satan has won against all the prophets of God. While the prophet was alive and with his community, they were together. But when death came to the prophet of that time, Satan entered. And now Jews are divided because of Satan's intervention. Christians, you have so many denominations, you don't even know how to count that much. Everybody that knows a few verses of Bible starts a church.